Hello, this is another video in this series regarding Weidmuller easyConnect cloud service and related apps. So in this video we'll be looking at setting up uLink remote access, meaning I could have a controller or IIoT Gateway on a different site, maybe in France, Germany, somewhere else in the UK, on a customer's premises in a factory, and I can remotely access it securely using Weidmuller's uLink service. The important thing here is I'm not actually using a router. Conventionally you would use a router, a security router, to achieve this, but with our controller and our IIoT Gateway you don't actually need a router. So hopefully you've seen my introductory video on easyConnect where I talked about installing the telemetry and IIoT connector apps. So today we're looking at uLink remote access. As of February 2024 we have 4 pieces of hardware that you can use the easyConnect service with. We have the first 2 items which are web controllers, and the second 2 items which are purely Codesys uOS higher level top end controllers, and then we have 2 IIoT gateways with and without 4G SIM capability for remote access over the mobile phone network. To set up the remote access for the device, in this case it's a WL2000 controller, we must first log back onto the easyConnect platform. So I've logged onto my easyConnect platform. The key thing we need to realize is licenses. So you need to go to scroll down the page. On the left side you've got licenses. So under there you want to go to trial licenses, and in here you have remote access uLink. So you need to activate that. So we click on there. It tells you a little bit about remote access, and again it's a 90-day free trial, and once it's expired it can be requested for reauthorization so you can use it again. And then when you actually move on to development you would probably need to buy a license, because different licenses give you different levels of access. So to request a license, it's the same as in the previous video for the IIoT and telemetry connector. You send a request to admin, you get a request back, and then you activate your license and you'll be told when it expires. So once that's set up we can move on to the next step of actually configuring it. Okay, so once your license is activated, you'll go back into your license tab and you'll see here trial remote access available, and I can have 10 users, up to 50 devices and 50 remote access connectors, but I can only have 1 person or user accessing the system at any one time. Okay, so that's the license. Then to configure the service we go to device management, and then you'll see your devices listed here. So I've previously set up the telemetry and IIoT services in easyConnect in my previous video, so you may want to recap on that first. So I've got 1 controller, it's online, so I connect into here and go to connectors. I have the Weidmuller IIoT Connect active. It's been active for a few hours. So to now add the remote access, I click into activate connector, and there's only 1 more to pick. So I pick on that and continue with selected. Connect activated, and very similar to the IIoT connector, I have an activation code which I can view and copy. The next step is now to log into the actual controller. So I have a second tab here, which is my controller. And as previously, we would go into the uOS controls. This page, we then go into apps. And you'll see I have the IIoT and the telemetry app running, plus a couple of others. We're not concerned about these two. We're not using those services at the moment. So I need to install the remote access app. So click in here, loading the app hub. Remember, this takes a few minutes. To install the remote access app, go to install app. App hub will now open. That will take a minute or so. Okay, so once the app hub is open, scroll down until you find remote access. It will always find or check the version, offer you the latest, and normally you'd always go for the latest, so just go next. And notice here it says what port of the controller do you want to bind the uLink remote access to, because the controller has actually got two Ethernet ports. Generally speaking, one would be acting as a WAN, wide area network, and one would be a LAN, your local area network. If you're not sure, you could just pick both, and you can always edit that later. So hit install, and again, this is probably going to take 4 or 5 minutes to install. Okay, so the uLink remote access app has installed. It now has to start running, so that takes a few minutes. Just try a manual refresh to see if it's started. Okay, so that's started now. So we can click into uLink remote access, and it tells me here it's bound to Ethernet port 0 and Ethernet port 1, and this is where I can change it to restrict it to just one port if I want. So I can click in here and edit that. So I'll leave it as it is. I'm happy with that. So I can now open the uLink access. So we're still in the controller at this point, and it tells me the device is not registered. So we have to register, or the service is not registered for uLink on this device. So I click on here, and it's asking for a code. So this is now we have to revert back to easyConnect tab, and we go to uLink, and again we can look at the activation code for uLink, copy it, go back to the controller and enter the code there, and it's normally fairly quick. So there's a log there of the activation code, and it's registering the device, so you get some feedback as to what's actually happening. Just to say, if you do have a problem, you can export the log and send that to Weidmuller to help try and resolve the problem. Looks like we may have had some error there, so let's wait and see what happens. Try refresh. Okay, so if you did notice, we did see a little warning message here earlier saying it was an error, but it has actually completed successfully. And this WWH is what we call worldwide heartbeat. So that basically means that we are connected to the uLink portal from the controller. So that's all good news. We can go into configuration. This is quite an important area here, because you may want to access other devices on your local area network. You probably want to turn this feature on, allow access to local network. That way, if you have a third party PLC, Schneider, Siemens, etc., you should be able to access it routing through the controller, or you could access, for example, a Weidmuller U remote which is controlled by the controller. So it's access to anything on the local area network. So I would always turn that on unless you have a good reason not to. Let's say registration is successful. So that's all looking good. So we can go back to the easyConnect portal and see if the connector's working there as well. So going to easyConnect, and there we have it, uLink just registered online. So that all looks good. Then we go to remote access uLink service desk, and the device is online, but we also need what we call a VPN client software to access the device remotely. So the VPN client software is a separate software install. If you've used what we call classic uLink, you'd have already got that. If you've never used it before, you need to install it, and to get it you can go to PC client setup here, and you can download the client software if you've not got it. If you have got it, I'll show you in a minute, but again you need another activation code, so we can look at that code, we can copy it, and then I can open the VPN client, and that's what the software looks like once it's opened. Okay, so if you needed to download it as a new user, you download the client here, and once you've downloaded it, that's what will open. It does say the worldwide heartbeat is connected from the PC as it was connected from the controller, so I should now be able to try and connect. So as I'm in Europe, it's connecting to the Western Europe server. There's a different server for China, so that appears to have connected. We can close that down, and then in here we need to now connect easyConnect to uLink. So connect on here, and you can see the PC client software. This software is successfully connected to the cloud, and now the device is connected to the cloud. So that's all connected successfully. When we want to disconnect uLink, our remote access, we disconnect here. So the key thing with uLink is you need to get a trial license for uLink service on the easyConnect portal. You need to download the VPN client software, which is what I was just showing you. I'll show you that again. Yeah, if you've not already used it before, with our classic routers. And then you need to set up the uLink connector and register it, and you also need to register the uLink service. But that's all working. Now the uLink service is working, I just wanted to demonstrate the ability to route through and connect to a device on a local area network. So if I can now go to, so you can see the VPN is connected still, so the uLink remote service is all up and running and connected. If I now go to my controller, you'll notice the IP address is starting 10 dot something, so that is an IP address of the office. I've also got home page here of the controller. As I say, the IP address is 10 dot, which is the office. And if I now go to control center, networks and internet, Ethernet, you'll see I've got one IP address configured for the WAN network and one IP address configured for the LAN network. There you go. 10.x is Ethernet 0, and 192.168 is my local area network. So I have a Weidmuller U remote island set up, so I can go to the IP address of that, and I am accessing that remote IO by routing through routing through the controller. Yeah, because I'm on that IP address range, but I'm actually connected to the controller using the uLink service on this port. So that's just an example of accessing something on the LAN side. So that's quite a powerful feature, because basically you're getting the router functionality without the need for purchasing an external security router. You can also connect to third-party devices, so I'm just going to find my Schneider PLC software and I'll show you that too. So here I have Schneider Electric's Machine Expert software, and I have an old controller, a TM241. So that's the active device, and I just go online and log in. And as you always get with Schneider PLCs in this range, you have to press Alt F to go online and then log in. And there you go, I'm logged in. So that's, as I say, quite a nice and powerful feature. So that allows me to amend the PLC project remotely and just see the status of what's happening. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you understand the uLink service and what functionality is available with it. Thanks for watching.